What we want to do is get you moving in the other direction, get you feeling good, get you knowing that you have the ability to make good decisions over and over and over again. And when you do that, the time that you're going to get back is just going to astonish you. You're going to be blown away by the amount of time that you get back. That time journal is going to go from full of garbage to full of productivity. And you're just going to feel so good about it. And it works exponentially over time. Welcome to Only the Greatest Podcast. If you're feeling stuck and unsure what to do next in your fitness journey, we might be what you're looking for. My name is Philip. I own and operate OTG Fitness, which is a private personal training gym on the south side of Houston in Webster. I do this podcast every week with my best friend, Daryl. We've been friends since third grade and working out together ever since. Also joining us today will be Sean. He's the one that makes this podcast not only sound great, but look good as well. Our goal here is to help Houston make its way up the ladder of health and fitness. So if you're in the Houston area and ready to become the greatest version of yourself, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Today's topic is one that I'm pretty passionate about. So as we discuss, as we go through the points for today, I'm going to do my best to really keep my emotions under control. And we're going to be trying to look at this from a very logical perspective, what's realistic, what's actually happening in our life, which is something that I often recommend to clients and just people in general that I'm talking to about this issue. The issue being the lack of time and the ability to focus on your health and your fitness. We're calling this episode Hacking Your Schedule. I have to admit, there's really not much hacking going on here. It's more about just taking a view of what's actually happening in our life. Again, a logical perspective, assessing it, and then creating a plan of action to make these things happen, these things that are important to us. And, I often say that life comes in waves. Sometimes we ride high on the wave. Sometimes we ride low on the wave. And most of the time, hopefully we're right in the middle, riding that good fine line, right in the middle of the wave. We're staying strong, we're riding good and being able to ride it for a long time. But sometimes we ride low on the wave and it's just the reality of what happens, and that's okay. But what I'm hoping to help you do today is find the middle of that wave, help you find an area where you can continue to do all the things you have going on in your life. I'm sure there's work, there's family, there's responsibilities. It's all over the place. Life feels a little hectic sometimes, and I completely understand that. But I don't want you to use time as a reason that you can't focus on your health and your fitness, because it's so important. And you'd be shocked how many people that I talk to, the first thing they say is time this, time that, work here, family there, and I completely understand those things. I will say that I do not have kids, so I do try to be very cautious in that territory, but I've talked to hundreds of clients that do and help people through that scenario. So it's something that I am familiar with when it comes to that subject. But it's really shocking how many people, the first thing that they want to tell me is time, it's this, it's that. But when they actually make the decision that this is something that they want to do, somehow time magically appears. And that can be a hard thing for someone, maybe yourself, maybe the person listening to this. You're kind of caught up in this, I'm going to use the word trap because I really think that's what it is. You're caught in this trap of thinking that you actually can't do this, but in reality you can. You just need a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance, and a little bit of realization that it is possible. And that's actually the first thing that I really kind of want to dive into. So a couple main topics that we're going to talk about today. First is that time trap, misconception is what we're going to call it. The second thing that we're going to be covering is some quote unquote hacks where you can, fit health and fitness easier into your lifestyle. And then lastly, something I want to discuss, I think is very important, is knowing what success actually looks like. Knowing that it's possible for you, what your life could be if you were to, quote unquote, again, hack your schedule and actually fit health and fitness as a priority in your life. So let's start with, the misconception itself. And unfortunately, too many people think that fitness and health in general is this massive time commitment. The reality is that it doesn't have to be. For whatever reason, maybe it's social media, maybe it's, the people on the high end of the statistics, right? They're in the everything's a bell curve, right? So you have people on each extreme. So over on one extreme, you have super unhealthy, people that don't care about health and fitness at all. It's not a priority. They're going to, unfortunately, possibly the people that die very young of illnesses that could have been prevented, right? On the other end of the spectrum, you have massive extreme, the very extreme bodybuilder-esque, type people of the world, extreme athletes, super hardcore, nothing else in life matters other than fitness. And because of the extreme in the second direction that I mentioned, I think that many, I'm going to call us normal people, think that that's what's necessary. It's not. My personal opinion in that is that this is something of the supplement industry. I don't hate supplements. I don't think they're necessary a lot of the times. I'm all good with supplements for people that need them and want them when they're ready. You've gotten the proper blood work and you've done the things that are necessary to make sure that you're getting the proper supplements. We want to be very cautious of that. But to stay on track here, the supplement industry has made you think, because of their marketing efforts and the celebrities and the types of bodies that they use to market their products, have made people often think that they have to go to these extremes and they have to have a shredded six-pack just to be considered healthy. And it's just so far from the truth. It doesn't require a massive time commitment. It doesn't require, massive planning. It doesn't require massive restriction. These are things that are made up in our minds. And this is that whole, let's look at this thing logically situation. Because so often we think that that's the case. So the decisions that we make fall to the other end of the spectrum. So we don't even try at all. It's that kind of like paralysis by analysis type of thing almost, where we think that it has to be so difficult and such a huge commitment that we do the exact opposite. When in reality, if we were just to be in the middle of the wave and ride that wave, we can do this with minimal effort. Now, don't get me wrong. It does require some effort. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit here and tell you this is going to be the easiest thing in the world. If you're struggling now, this is not going to be the easiest thing, just to be honest. But this mindset shift is step one. And it's probably, in reality, the hardest part. Because once you do that, you're going to see time open up for you, right? So, you don't have to be super extreme. It doesn't require huge time commitments. And step one to realizing that, I think, is obviously understanding that you don't have to be super shredded or super crazy in shape or anything like that to be healthy. And then beyond that is, let's start identifying what actually kills our time. Is it, and I'm just throwing some examples out there, nobody take this personally. Is it scrolling on your phone, right? Is it hitting the snooze button for 45 minutes every morning, right? Like, what types of things are actually killing your time? Is it TV time? Is it the show that you have to watch? Maybe there's some things that you need to analyze. And maybe it's like weekend events, and some of these things are important to you, and I completely understand that. But sometimes you have to make a pros and cons list of some of these things. Like, what are the pros of getting dinner with my friends, and what are the cons? And then maybe you can meet somewhere in the middle where you can go there and just order the healthy thing, right? But we need to weigh the pros and cons of the entire thing. But the point of this whole thing is that, identifying what's actually killing your time. I heard one time, I think it was Craig Ballantyne, who, if you don't know who that is, he's kind of like an entrepreneur coach, someone in the, business owner realm. He talks about keeping a time log. And if you were to actually do that, keep a time log, you wake up, whatever, to 5 a.m., right? For how long until you actually do something productive, and write that down. Like, what do I do from 5 to 5:45? What do I do from 5:45 to 6:30? All right, well, I get to work at 7, and then, Maybe even keep a time log at your work, right? Might help you get a little more productive, which we're going to talk about later. But keep that time log. What do I do on my lunch break? Write it down. All right, I get off at 5:30. What do I do? What am I using the time that I have, the 24 hours that I have in my day? What is it actually going to? Because if you do this, it will start to open up the real possibilities, and it will start to open up your mindset of like, wow, maybe I could actually do something during this time. So oftentimes this thought that we have of not being able to have time, it's just a misconception that we've convinced ourselves of. And it's often not true. And so many times I've seen someone that thought this. And in my personal opinion, a lot of times you just don't actually want it bad enough. And that might hurt someone to hear that. But I've just seen too many times people completely transform from having what they considered zero time to out of nowhere being able to work out 3 days a week and being able to meal prep a little bit. And the reality is, what we're going to talk about in a second, is if you were to actually meal prep a little bit and take some time out of your schedule, you're going to see you actually have more time because your productivity goes up. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but I find it very difficult to believe that all of these people that I've seen make this transformation, that multiple major things in their life actually gave them more time. That's not what happened. All that happened was they made a decision that this was a priority. And I think it's very important, especially for people like myself, people that are in this field as a personal trainer. I think it's very important for me to understand that you might just not want it bad enough. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Eventually, the time will be right for you. And when the time is right, you'll be able to make that commitment. And then your mindset will open up. The unfortunate part about that is you're going to look back in time and think, oh my gosh, how dumb. What an idiot. Sorry, I hate to say that, but I've done that to myself so many times, so I feel like I have the right to say it. I'm like, what an idiot for thinking that. And, if the time for you is now that you're ready to make a decision, then do that thing. And doing that can look like some of the stuff we're going to talk about here in a second, which is what I'm calling quote unquote hacks. They're not really hacks. They're just ways to actually make it happen. So if you're ready to make a decision, maybe some of these things will help you. And in my opinion, something that is super helpful for someone getting started is doing workouts that don't take as long, right? So you're kind of meeting yourself in the middle. We like to push full body workouts almost all the time. And especially for someone that doesn't have a lot of time, because if you do full body, you're going to have a more effective, more well-rounded workout each time, right? And you don't have to work out as often. We don't really recommend body part splits until you're at least working out 4 or 5 days a week consistently. That almost gives you the ability to start, doing some kind of like chest one day, back another day, arms another day, legs another day. Until you work out 4 or 5 days a week consistently, you shouldn't even consider that. Full body workouts are going to get your heart rate up higher. They're going to allow you to hit your muscles more often over time to get the total volume up. The most recent data is telling us that, what you do at one time and during one day, during one workout is not as important as how much you do over a period of time. So we like to look at your total amount of volume over a week. And oftentimes doing full body workouts will actually allow you to get more volume per body part in over the week. Because like say, if you do chest all day, one day, your first set of exercises might be quality. But then because someone listening to this, I'm assuming you're probably more on the beginner side, which is totally fine. I consider a beginner anyone that's been working out less than 2 years. You're still in the kind of newbie phase. After that first set of chest exercises, that muscle group's probably going to be pretty spent if you did it right? Because you don't have the muscle endurance, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all I'm saying is that you're going to get more benefit by going and doing some legs now, right? And then do it again tomorrow or the following day, like every other day type of thing. So full body workouts that incorporate everything each time are going to save you a lot of each time that you work out is going to save you a lot of overall time in the long run. So doing full body workouts is what I'm going to call a hack here. Another quote unquote hack is to have an accountability partner and pre-schedule something with them. So me personally, I use Google Calendar. When I need to get something done, I put it in my Google Calendar and it will get done. Denver and I, we share a Google Calendar. If one of us knows that something needs to get done, we can put it in each other's calendar, and it makes it that much, it heightens the awareness for me. And now I can see in the morning when I wake up, I can check my Google Calendar. I got to do this at this time. If you have your workout on there, it's probably going to get done. And if it doesn't, well, maybe if it's an emergency, that's okay. Just get them next time. Put it in your calendar again. But if it's in there, what you don't want to do is start making excuses, because it's in the calendar. You need to get it done and find a way. Another thing that you can do is just fit daily movement in. This kind of goes back to when I was talking about the time misconception. You don't have to, speaking of the Google Calendar situation, here's what I don't have to do. I don't have to put in an hour and a half of exercise time into my schedule 5 days a week, right? What I could do is put 45 minutes 3 times a week and then go for a walk after breakfast every day. That seems a little bit easier, right? So instead of, scheduling out an hour on the treadmill, just go for a 10-minute walk after breakfast, maybe a 10-minute walk after lunch, 10-minute walk after dinner. I just got 30 minutes of cardio in, right? Stan Efferding taught me that one. There's so many benefits for walking after you eat. And, we're not going to go over all of them now. It's not important to our conversation. But what is important is that we're fitting movement in on a daily basis. Movement should be a part of our lifestyle. When you move better, you feel better. And when you feel better, you do better. And that's the goal here, right? We don't need to do some extensive cardio. We just need to move more often. We need to fit in, my opinion, at least 3 days a week, 30 to 45 minutes of what we call structured exercise. Outside of that structured exercise, movement and overall lifestyle activity needs to elevate. So you can shoot for 8,000 steps a day, 10,000, 12,000, more than what you're doing now is the goal, right? Progress over time. You don't need to make some, if you work from home, I was talking to someone actually not too long ago, they work from home and they often don't even leave their house. This person was a client of ours, and other than the days that he comes to the gym to work out, he stays home all day. And he was telling me there's often times I'll get like 400 or 500 steps per day, other than the days that I come here to work out. I was like, dude, we got to get that number up. But I'm not going to give him the goal of 10,000. I'm going to give him the goal of like 4,000, maybe 5. And you can get that done in, a few 10 or 15 minute walks pretty easily, right? So the point is that you don't need to make this big, huge goal. You just need to do something. You need to move forward from where you are now. And that's how this kind of intertwines with the first thing we talked about, that misconception of time. You don't have to have this huge commitment. You just need to do something and move forward with it, right? So those are a few things that I think can help you out. Using full body workouts, it doesn't have to be 5 days a week. Full body workouts, 3 days a week, awesome place to be. Have an accountability partner, someone that you rely on, someone that you can call, someone that if y'all have it in a shared calendar, for example, it's getting done. And then just fit daily movement into your lifestyle. It needs to be a normal thing to move more often. Move better, feel better, live better, right? Dr. B taught me that one. So let's do that. Let's move better, let's feel better, and let's live better. And then lastly, to kind of last point that I want to cover that I mentioned earlier is knowing what success actually is. Let's say you've made, let's look forward. Let's put ourselves 1 year into the future. What do you think life could or would look like if I admitted that I do have time? I sat down, I assessed my time schedule, I make the mindset shift. Ooh, I do have some time here to fit this in, fit that in. I'm going to fit this into my lifestyle. I take advantage of some of these things that we talked about. I do the full body workouts. I have an accountability partner. Maybe I hire a trainer, whatever it takes, right? I fit daily movement into my lifestyle. What does success actually look like? Well, I can tell you that it's a massive stress relief. When your body feels better, you will do better things. You will be more productive. I often say that if you take 1 hour, I'm just using the hour thing for easy math. I know I said 30 minutes earlier and 45 minutes. Just using an hour for easy math. If you take an hour out of your day to exercise, you're going to add 2 hours back in. Out of nowhere, 24 hours becomes 26. Now, that doesn't actually happen. What I'm talking about is that from a productivity standpoint, we all know that if the assignment is due tomorrow, you can get 8 hours of work done in 2. It can happen. And when you feel better, when your energy levels are higher, your confidence is higher, your productivity will go through the roof. The stress is lower, right? Things don't bother you as bad. The small little things that often bother you, that doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to be that way. But because, and there's multiple reasons to this, but obviously we're talking about health and fitness right now. So when you, 1, don't feel good about your body, and 2, don't feel good about the things that you're doing to it on a regular basis, it's like everything ticks you off. The smallest things, you're worried about the little things. But if you can get your body right and feel good and constantly do good things for yourself, I often tell people, I like to remind everyone that every time you exercise, there's an opportunity to do something good for yourself. Every time you eat, you have an opportunity to do something good for yourself. And that's how we build confidence. We do something good for ourselves over and over and over again. And when that happens, I promise you, life gets better. And I've been on the other side of that trap as well. I know what it's like to, growing up, I suffered from anxiety, depression. My mom died very young. I actually watched her die in front of me, and I was diagnosed with PTSD from that. So the combination of PTSD, anxiety, depression, I know what it's like to be in that trap. Been there, done that, I understand. So if you're listening to this, I understand. But what we want to do is get you moving in the other direction, get you feeling good, get you knowing that you have the ability to make good decisions over and over and over again. And when you do that, the time that you're going to get back is just going to astonish you. You're going to be blown away by the amount of time that you get back. That time journal is going to go from full of garbage to full of productivity. And you're just going to feel so good about it. And it works exponentially over time. So I just think that it's important for you to put yourself in the shoes of someone who makes these commitments. And if you do that, life will start moving in the right direction. I'm not saying it's moving in the wrong direction now, but if you're listening to this, you probably feel like you need some help, like you need some guidance. And that's all I'm trying to do here. So to wrap things up, the goal here, I hope that after listening to this, I don't ever want you to say that you can't focus on your health or your fitness or lose weight or eat better or anything like that because you don't have time. That should never be a reason. If you feel like that is a reason, step 1, think about your mindset. Keep a time journal, keep a time log of what's going on, assess the situation, stay logical, less emotion, more logic. I know that's very difficult, but it can be done. So use logic when you're making these decisions. If you need help along the way, we're here to help. My name's Philip. I own a personal training studio. It's called OTG Fitness. OTG Fitness stands for Only the Greatest. And we're just here to help your hand, to help you and hold your hand through your fitness journey. This podcast has a goal of helping Houston make its way up the ladder of health and fitness. And at OTG, we just want to be the face of personal training in Houston. So if there's any way I can help you out, please let me know. You can visit our website, otgfitness.com. We have all the social medias. Wherever you are, I hope that we are as well. And I hope that we can be a guiding hand through your journey. Even if you never come see us, that's okay. The information that we share is just to help people. So if you have questions, please reach out. Any of the platforms is fine. Instagram, Facebook, the website, you can put on a form on there and fill it out. And yeah, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends, someone that you know is struggling with this. Maybe you heard them say that they don't have time. Maybe you just started and you're listening to this as like a reinforcement tool, and you have one of your friends that, constantly says they don't have time. Share this with them. Let it continue to help people. And I hope that we can help you someday. See you next time.